Tidal sinking of the Titanic. The unsinkable tragedy at midnight, the last hours of the Titanic. Chapter 1. A grand voyage begins. Once upon a time, in the early 20th century, there was a magnificent ship called the Titanic. It was not just any ship, it was the grandest, most luxurious ship the world had ever seen. The Titanic was a floating palace, built to carry people across the vast, icy Atlantic Ocean in style. The year was 1912, and the world was changing rapidly. People from all over the globe were dreaming of new adventures in a new century. The Titanic was part of this dream, a symbol of human progress, a marvel of engineering, and a promise of an exciting future. The ship's creators had designed it to be unsinkable. It had many watertight compartments, which meant that even if some were flooded, the ship would stay afloat. Passengers from all walks of life, from the richest to the poorest, were eager to board this remarkable vessel. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic set sail from Southampton, England, on its maiden voyage. Crowds of well-dressed passengers waved goodbye to the shore, and the ship's band played joyful tunes. The Titanic was on its way to New York City, and everyone on board was filled with excitement and wonder. Chapter 2. A night of stars and ice. As the Titanic sailed farther into the Atlantic, the weather grew colder. But inside the ship, it was warm and cozy. Passengers in their finest clothes dined in elegant restaurants, danced in lavish ballrooms, and enjoyed the splendid amenities. At night, the Titanic was a shimmering jewel on the dark sea. The sky was clear, and millions of stars sparkled overhead. Passengers gazed at the heavens, marveling at the beauty of the universe. But there was something else out there, something hidden beneath the surface of the frigid waters. An enormous iceberg, a mountain of ice, silently floated in the dark sea. It was a danger that the Titanic was sailing straight into, and no one on board knew it was there. Chapter 3. The warning. In the crow's nest high above the ship, look out. Frederick Fleet strained his eyes in the darkness. It was his job to watch for anything in the ship's path. Suddenly, he saw something ahead, an iceberg, a massive, frozen giant lurking in the night. Fleet immediately rang the warning bell and picked up the phone to the bridge. He shouted, "Iceberg right ahead!" The ship's officer sprang into action. But it was too late. The Titanic struck the iceberg with a shuddering thud. The passengers below decks felt a strange vibration, like a giant had given the ship a gentle push. Many didn't even notice at first, but in the wheelhouse, the crew knew something was terribly wrong. Chapter 4. Panic and confusion. The Titanic's crew rushed to assess the damage. They could see that the ship had been scraped along its side by the iceberg. Below the waterline, the icy water was pouring into the ship. Panic began to spread among the passengers and crew. People started to gather on the deck, some in their pajamas and robes. They wanted to know what had happened. The crew tried to keep everyone calm, but there was a growing sense of unease. Inside the ship, things were getting chaotic. Passengers and crew members rushed about, not sure what to do. Some of the ship's officers tried to lower the lifeboats, but they weren't sure how many people they could carry or where they should go. Chapter 5. Women and children first. As the crew worked to understand the extent of the damage, Captain Edward Smith gave an order that would become famous: women and children first. This meant that the lifeboats would be filled with women and children before any men could get on. Many of the brave men said good day to their families and helped them into the lifeboats. They knew that they might never see their loved ones again, but they wanted to make sure they were safe. As the lifeboats were lowered into the icy water, there was a sense of urgency. The passengers who were leaving knew that they were the lucky ones. They had a chance to escape the sinking ship, while those who stayed behind faced an uncertain fate. Chapter 6. A sinking ship. As the minutes passed, it became clear that the Titanic was in grave danger. The ship was slowly tilting forward, and the front part was sinking lower and lower into the icy water. People could see that something terrible was happening. The crew continued to lower the lifeboats, but there weren't enough of them. Some lifeboats left with only a fraction of their capacity. The passengers who remained on board watched in horror as the lifeboats drifted away, leaving them behind. The ship's band played music on the deck, trying to keep people calm. They played cheerful tunes, but their hearts were heavy. They knew that the Titanic was in serious trouble. Chapter 7 The Heroes. Amidst the chaos and fear, there were many heroes on the Titanic that night. Some musicians played their instruments until the very end, trying to bring comfort and solace to the passenger. They played as the ship slowly sank into the cold, dark waters. Crew members worked tirelessly to help passengers into the lifeboats. Even as the ship tilted dangerously, they faced incredible challenges, but their dedication to saving lives never wavered. Passengers also showed incredible bravery and kindness. Many shared their warm clothes with those who had none. They comforted each other with words of encouragement and support. Chapter 8 The Long, Cold Night. As the night wore on, the temperature dropped, and the air became frigid. The water was so cold that it could make people sick within minutes. Many of the passengers in the lifeboats were without enough warm clothing, and they huddled together for warmth. Those who remained on the Titanic faced an even more dire situation. The ship was sinking deeper into the sea, and the water was rising on the lower decks. People clung to the rails, hoping against hope that help would arrive in time. The passengers and crew endured a long, agonizing night. They looked out at the dark waters, praying for rescue. Chapter 9 The Rescue. In the distance, a ship called the Carpathia heard the Titanic's distress calls. It was still a long way away, but it was racing to the scene as fast as it could. Carpathia's crew and passengers were unaware of the tragedy unfolding in the icy waters, but they were about to become heroes. When the Carpathia arrived, the survivors were taken on board. They were cold, wet, and frightened, but they were alive. The crew of the Carpathia provided them with warm blankets, hot drinks, and the comfort of knowing they were safe. For some, the sight of the Carpathia on the horizon was a beacon of hope. In the darkest of nights, it was a moment of relief and gratitude. But it was also a moment of sorrow for those who had lost loved ones. Chapter 10 The Morning After. As the sun rose on that fateful morning, everyone could see the terrible extent of the tragedy. The Titanic, once the grandest ship in the world, was gone. It had sunk to the bottom of the ocean, taking with it the dreams and hopes of many. The survivors looked around, realizing the enormity of what had happened. Families had been separated, loved ones had been lost, and the world had been forever changed. News of the Titanic's sinking spread quickly, and the world was in shock. People from all over mourned the loss of the ship and its passengers. They wondered how such a tragedy could have occurred on a ship that was supposed to be unsinkable. Chapter 11 Remembering the Titanic. The sinking of the Titanic was a tragedy that the world would never forget. It served as a stark reminder of the dangers of the sea and the unpredictability of nature. People realized that even the most advanced technology could not guarantee safety. In the wake of the disaster, new rules and regulations were put in place to ensure the safety of future voyages. Ships were required to carry enough lifeboats for all passengers, and more attention was paid to iceberg warnings. The Titanic became a symbol of human vulnerability and the need for humility in the face of nature's power. It was a lesson that would be remembered for generations to come. Chapter 12 Honoring the Heroes. Many heroes emerged from that tragic night. The musicians who played on as the ship sank, the crew members who worked tirelessly to save lives, and the passengers who helped each other in their darkest hours showed incredible bravery and kindness. The world recognized their heroism and paid tribute to their memory. The musicians, in particular, were remembered for their unwavering commitment to bringing comfort and solace to those in distress. Chapter 13 The End of a Story. The story of the Titanic is a tragic one, but it is also a story of bravery, compassion, and the enduring spirit of humanity. It serves as a reminder that even in the face of the most unthinkable challenges, there are those who rise to the occasion with courage and selflessness. And so, dear reader, we come to the end of our Tell the Story of the Titanic, the unsinkable ship that met its tragic fate. One cold night in the icy waters of the Atlantic Ocean. May we never forget the lessons it taught us about safety, heroism, and the importance of helping each other in times of need. The Titanic may have sunk, but its legacy endures, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit and the relentless march of time. Chapter 14 Unsinkable No More. In the days and weeks that followed the Titanic sinking, investigations were launched to understand how such a disaster could have occurred. It became clear that there were failures in communication and safety protocols. The world was in shock, and the tragedy served as a wake-up call for the entire maritime industry. New regulations were put in place to ensure that ships had enough lifeboats for all passengers, and that crews were adequately trained to respond to emergencies. Iceberg patrols were established to monitor the North Atlantic for potential hazards, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. Chapter 15: The Legacy of the Titanic. The Titanic's legacy goes far beyond its tragic sinking. It serves as a symbol of human hubris and the consequences of overconfidence. Belief that the ship was unsinkable had led to a lack of preparation and a failure to heed warnings. The disaster also highlighted the importance of compassion and heroism. In times of crisis, the heroes of the Titanic, both passengers and crew, demonstrated the best of humanity. When faced with the worst of circumstances, their selflessness and courage continue to inspire people to this day. The story of the Titanic has been told and retold in books, movies, and documentaries. It has captured the imagination of generations, serving as a cautionary tale and a reminder of the fragility of life. Chapter 16: A Final Resting Place. For many years, the wreckage of the Titanic remained hidden beneath the cold, dark waters of the North Atlantic. The ship had broken into two pieces upon impact with the ocean floor, and its debris was scattered over a wide area. In 1985, oceanographer Robert Ballard and a Franco-American expedition discovered the remains of the Titanic. The world watched in awe as images of the ship's broken hull were transmitted from the ocean depths. It was a haunting reminder of the ship's final moments. Over the years, more expeditions were launched to explore the Titanic's wreckage. Artifacts were recovered and brought to the surface, providing a glimpse into the lives of those who had sailed on the ill-fated voyage. Chapter 17: Never Forgotten. The sinking of the Titanic is a story that has left an indelible mark on history. It is a story of human ambition, technological hubris, and the capacity for heroism and compassion in the face of disaster. The memory of the Titanic and the lives lost that fateful night continue to be honored and remembered. Memorials, museums, and exhibitions pay tribute to the passengers and crew who perished. Their names are etched in stone and engraved in the collective memory of the world. Chapter 18: Conclusion. And so, dear reader, we come to the end of our Tell the Story of the Titanic, the unsinkable ship that met its tragic fate. One cold night in the icy waters of the Atlantic Ocean. It is a story of ambition, courage, and the inexorable march of history. The sinking of the Titanic serves as a reminder that even the most advanced technology cannot guarantee safety in the face of nature's power. It is a cautionary tale that continues to captivate and intrigue, a testament to the enduring human spirit and the price of overconfidence. May we never forget the lessons of the Titanic and the heroes who emerged in its darkest hours. May their bravery and compassion continue to inspire us to be our best selves, even in the face of the most daunting challenges. As we bid farewell to this epic tale, let us remember the Titanic not just for its tragic end, but for the enduring lessons it imparts: the importance of humility, preparedness, and the unwavering belief in the capacity for heroism and compassion that resides within us all. The end. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the next piece. Thank you for your support. Please give us a high rating and subscribe to our channel.